guys, and welcome to Faith Works Designs. I'm Faith, and today I am so excited to show you guys the new box from K&A Custom Fabrics. Eventually, this will be a sew-along that you can purchase from K&A, but right now it is only available with their boxes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they have had a monthly subscription that you can go and you can get a box every single month, and it's always a new design. Hopefully, I'm showing you some of them on the screen right now. But they have had a ton, and the last one went over so well, and we just keep rolling with it. So, this is the latest one. It is the Edgar Allan Poe, which is easy for me to say. It is another one of our book purses. As you know, K&A, we all love our book purses. Anyway, it's pretty simple, very quick sew. You guys, I recorded the video and everything in like 2 hours. It was so fast, and that's moving the camera around and everything else, so super fast. So if you have done the Doctor Who bag, then you know what I'm talking about. It's super duper fast. So you've got this cool scroll lining, and then your crows on the front. In the video, you'll see that I did a slip pocket and a zipper pocket. However, I'm not going to be showing you how to do that in the video today because it doesn't come in the kit. So if you have some extra fabric and you want to make a zipper pocket, or you wanted to make a slip pocket, you could. Don't be limited by what we're limited by, if that makes any sense. Go for the gold. I'll talk to you about it in the outro. So I've got this really cool scroll work on the inside, and then I added slip pockets and a zipper pocket to mine, just because I like pockets. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so you've got your panel. You're going to get it rolled up into your box. We've got our panel, and it looks so cool. I love how this turned out. So you've got your outer panel, and then you'll have your lining panel. As always, we're going to use our outer pieces as our template to be able to cut out our lining pieces. I believe you're going to be getting vinyl in your boxes, so you're going to want to interface this appropriately. I'm going to be using Deco Light, and then I'm going to be cutting it a 1/4 of an inch shorter all the way around than all of my pieces. So let me get all this cut out, and then we'll go to the next step. Alright, let's talk hardware real quick. You're going to need 2 sets of magnetic snaps. So 2 females, 2 males, and then 4 washers. You're going to need 2 1-inch D-rings. You're going to need 2 1-inch swivel clasps, and then 1 1-inch strap adjuster, and then 60 inches of webbing, give or take. Alright, so all of my pieces are all cut out. The very first thing that we're going to do is, I'm going to show you, we've got 1/4 of an inch-ish all the way around. I cut my Deco Light a little bit shorter, and then took my outer pieces and used them as a template to cut out all of my lining. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our lining for our flap, and then our very front panel. We're going to get those prepped with our magnets so that we can kind of just go to town. Alright, what you're going to need to do is grab a small ruler, and on your flap, we're going to lay this on the desk. You're going to measure in 2 inches this way, and then 1.5 inches that way. So 2 inches in, 1.5 inches up, make a mark. Then you're going to grab your washer for your magnets, put your washer down on the dot that you just drew, and then make your lines on each side. You're going to do that to both your flap lining and your front panel. Same measurements, 2 inches in this way, 1.5 inches that way. Now we're going to grab our seam ripper, and we're going to open those up, being very careful that we are only opening up the little marks that we made. I also went ahead and I grabbed some Peltex, and I put those marks on my Peltex so that I don't have to worry about my magnets trying to come out. So I just kind of made those marks and then opened it up with my seam ripper. And then what we're going to do is, you can do it either way. I like to put the stronger of the 2 magnets, my female magnets, on the flap. But it's up to you, whichever way you want to do it. If you want to put the males on there, you can. But I like to put the females on the flap, and then I'm going to grab the males and put those on the front. So your front should look like that. your flap should look like that. Now real quick, I'm going to grab my freight track and I'm just going to put a couple of drops. My lining is waterproof canvas. I'm not sure what's going to be in the box, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it on there anyway just to make myself feel better, that I don't have to worry about it fraying or coming undone. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our Peltex and then our washer, and then to save our hands I'm going to take my pliers and push those down. And we're going to do that on both sides and on our front panel. Okay, those are all prepped and ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our flap outer and we're going to put these right sides together. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to sew around the 3 edges and sew these together, leaving this side open so that we can turn it right side out. So let's go do that. Alright, with a 3 stitch length, we're going to sew around our 3 sides. Alright, so I went around all of my roundy bits and I just took my pinking shears and just kind of trimmed that excess off. And we're going to turn this right side out. And if you want to, lay this flat on your desk and make sure that everything is out. Make sure all of those corners are out. Make sure that your fabric along the sides are out. And then if you want to, you can clip it so that it kind of all lays flat. I'm going to get my non-pointy scissors and go up here to the corner. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch my lining and my outer panel down, and I'm going to do it so that the lining is facing me. I'm also going to be changing my stitch length to a 4. Again, you can clip this in place if you want, just to make sure that it's lying nice and flat. Alright, so our outer panel is to our lining. We've got our snaps attached. We're going to set this aside. We're going to grab our D-ring connectors, and what I did was I put a strip of 3/4 inch by the length of my strap adjusters and adhered it right into the center, and then I'm going to make a mark right down the center, and then I'm going to get some double-sided tape and I'm going to put that right down the center. Once you've got your tape in place, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the paper and then pull down each side. Alright, you're going to do that to both, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take it to the sewing machine and then we're going to stitch it 1/4 inch, stitch down, over, and then back up again. So let's go do that. Alright, so I have got a 4 stitch length, and I'm just going to go down, around, and back up again on both of my D-ring connectors. Alright, now that we've got our D-ring connectors all sewn, I'm gonna refer to this as the wrong side because that's the side that we flipped the edges to the center, and then the side where you don't see any of that is the right side. So just keep that in mind. Alright, now we're going to grab our bottom gusset, our little pages, and then you're going to want to grab the small ruler again, and we're going to measure in 1.5 inches and then find 1 inch in the center and mark it. You're going to do that on both of these ends. Then we're going to take a sharp tool or your scissors and we're going to open up that 1 inch mark. Just that 1 inch mark. Try not to go any further than the 1 inch mark. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our D-ring connector with the wrong side facing up. We're going to slide it into our bottom gusset, and you're going to want to have about 1 inch poking through on the wrong side. We're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch on the D-ring connector. We're not stitching in front of it, we're not stitching past it, we're stitching right on this connector, right in front of that little slit that we made, that we slipped it into. We're not sewing on the slit, we're sewing right beside it. Let me see how close I can get you guys so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, I've got you as close as I think I can get you. And I have a 4 stitch length. I'm starting right next to like 1/8 of an inch from the edge of that D-ring connector. And I did back stitch. And the D-ring connector is black. And my thread is black. So I apologize ahead of time. Give me 1 second and I will show you guys what it should look like. So hopefully you can see I just sewed on the D-ring connector. And you see this is where my slit is right here where we tucked it in. You want to sew right in front of that. Now I'm going to go and do that to the other side as well. And then we'll go back to the sewing desk. So your D-ring connector with the wrong side facing up. Go in that slit. And I like doing these invisible connectors because it gets so thick adding a D-ring connector to the sides. And this is just kind of nice to have. Alright, so we're just going to sew right in front of that little slit. Alright, we got all of our threads and stuff cut and burned. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our D-rings, slip one on just like that so that the flat edge is on the wrong side of our connector. We're going to take this other end and push it into that slit and then pull it down. So you can have one or two things. You can make these ends meet and have a little bit extra D-ring connector sticking out, or you can pull it all the way taut and you can have just a little bit of D-ring connector sticking out. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to do the one, and then I'm going to grab my hole puncher, and what I'm going to do is about 1/4 of an inch from this slit right here, I'm going to put a rivet hole, and then I'm going to put a rivet right there. It needs to go through your D-ring connectors so that it holds it in place. So I made a hole right there, off center. Fantastic. Love when that happens. I'm going to put my rivet with the stem through the back. Okay. And then we're going to put the cap on top. Ooh. Alright, now I'm going to go do the other side. Same thing. Putting my D-ring on, slipping it in that hole. And this time I'm going to try and center that rivet. Sometimes when I'm doing a video, I just do not have time to make sure everything's perfect. Alright, let's try a little harder on this one. Alright, a little better. Again, put the stem on the wrong side, and then the cap on top. And then I'm going to switch my dies out so that I can squish those rivets in place. Alright, now that our rivets are in place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center of my gusset, and I'm going to make just a little snip on both sides. This is going to help me line up my gusset later on when we add it to the front and back panel. Alright, now let's grab the front panel, and we're going to put the sides together. We're going to find the center in that bottom. Okay, now what I'm going to do is right side to right side, I'm going to put those little notches together and then make a few more clips. Then I'm going to take these side edges and put them together. Do the other side. Alright, now on these corners we're going to need to make a few little snips. You don't want to go crazy, just a couple. And that way it'll lay nice and flat when we go to sew it later. And it'll go all the way around that corner. And I'm just making my notches or my little snips about 1/8 of an inch in. You want to make sure that they're going to be in front of where you're stitching so that you don't see them after you put your stitch line in. Alright, now we're going to go to the sewing machine, and at 1/4 of an inch we're going to sew these two together. Alright, I have got a 3 stitch length, and I'm just sewing 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to sew all the way around at 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to go back at 1/8 of an inch and sew again, just so that, you know, when you turn things right side out sometimes, you might be able to see those stitches. If you do the 1/8 of an inch right beside that, it tends to not do that, and it looks a little bit nicer. It's a little extra work, but it helps your stitches look really nice. Our gusset is attached to our front panel. The next thing that we're going to do is grab our back panel. You're going to want to do the same thing that you did to the front, putting the sides together, finding the center, and then making a little notch. Now we're going to put right sides together for our bottom gusset to our bottom notch. And do just like you did. We're going to clip those all together, making those notches around that corner and adding everything up. Alright, same as the other side. We're just going to stitch with the 3 stitch length and sew around those 3 sides. Alright, so our gusset is on our front and back panel. Should look like this. Alright, we're going to grab our main flap. And what we're going to do is we want the right side to the right side of our back panel. So the back panel is the black panel. And what you're going to do is you're just going to, if you wanted to, you could put a center notch. It's up to you. I'm just going to put it on there willy-nilly like I always do. What we need to do is go to the sewing machine and then base stitch that flap in place. So let's go do that. Alright, with a 4 stitch length, I'm just going to base stitch this in place. Alright, now that our outer shell is done, we need to work on our lining. So I've grabbed my 2 lining pieces, and in the kit, you don't get any extra panel to be able to make a zipper pocket or slip pockets or stuff like that. If you want to, you can do that on your own. I just grabbed some black waterproof canvas that I had, and I made a zipper pocket and I made a slip pocket. If you want to make the slip pocket, it's 11 inches tall by 10.5 wide, the width of your panel, and I just folded it in half, sewed it down, and sewed them together. If you want to know how to make the zipper pocket, go check out the Doctor Who video. That's a completely different construction. But if you wanted to add the zipper pocket and turn it through the zipper pocket instead of the way that we're doing it today, you can go watch that video. Alright, I went ahead and I put center notches in my front and my back panel, and then I took my bottom gusset, folded it in half, and I put the center notches on both sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the center notches together. We're going to construct this just like we did the outer panel, where we put the gussets together, we clip at the notches where the roundy bits are, and then we sew it all together just like we did the outside. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm just going to kind of fast forward through it. Alright, so I'm starting at 1/4 of an inch at the top, and then I'm going to kind of gradually go to 1/2 an inch so that my lining will fit nice. Alright, that side of our gusset is connected. Let's grab the zipper side or your other side, put bottom notches together, and then clip all the way around. Alright, so we're starting again at 1/4 inch. Alright, so our outer and our lining are all done. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our lining and turn it right side out. If you wanted to, you could do this drop-in. You could do a drop-in style if you wanted to. You could leave a hole in the very bottom of your lining if you wanted to, and that way you could turn it inside like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a nice big gap in the front between my lining and my outer panel. So right here in the front, I'm going to leave myself a nice big gap. I'm going to sew around, making sure to back stitch when I start and stop here, and then I'm going to turn it right side out and then top stitch it down. So that's just what we got to do when we don't have pockets and stuff. We just kind of have to make do. You could, like I said, you could make it a drop-in if you wanted to, if you like that look better. It is entirely up to you. This is your bag. If you know what you're doing a little bit, you can get creative and do it your way. But I figured this is the fastest way to do this without having to turn it too much. Make sure that when you're adding your lining that your outer panel seam allowance is going one direction and your lining seam allowance is going the opposite direction, so that they'll lay nice and flat when we go to sew them, and then when we go to top stitch them, they'll kind of lay away from each other instead of on top of each other. Alright, let's go sew this together, making sure to leave an opening to turn this right side out. Alright, so I have got a 3-stitch length, and I'm starting closer to the side. And then just at 1/4 inch, go ahead and sew around the top. I'm also going to go ahead and do an 1/8 inch seam allowance too. That way I can just kind of make sure that my stitches look nice when I turn this right side out. Can you guys see what I'm doing with my big hand in the way? Alright, so you got your hole. Let's turn everything right side out. I'm going to grab my lining first. And we're just going to do this really carefully, guys. Just taking our time. Alright, now I'm going to take each of these corners and smush them in. Alright, now we're going to push that lining back in. We'll straighten everything out in just a second, but let's go ahead and clip around the top. And then we're just going to push that under that 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to tuck a little bit more. Alright, so when I start sewing this, I'm going to sew on the back. You're going to need to make sure that your outer panel is pulled that way, and then on top your lining panel is pulled that way, so that it's laying nice and flat on the back. Alright, so let's go to the sewing machine. I'm going to zhuzh this up a little bit more, and then we'll go to the sewing machine and we'll top stitch, and you are almost done. Alright, so I have got a 4-stitch length. And again, I'm making sure that my outer panel is out of the way, my lining panel is going towards the lining, and it's laying nice and flat. You can probably feel it with your fingers to make sure that they're nice and on top of each other. When you go to sew over the D-ring connectors, make sure that those are pushed down out of the way. Alright, she's all done. Looks great. Just needs a little bit of love. You could, if you wanted to, very lightly iron this front, and that'll help that vinyl kind of flatten out a little bit. I know turning sometimes, you know, it makes little wrinkles in them. Eventually they just kind of fall, the wrinkles kind of fall out, but it's up to you if you can't stand it. You could do the top just a little bit. If you don't do the slip pocket and the zipper pocket, you could also take a smaller iron and do the inside very lightly and carefully so that you don't get your vinyl. Alright, so let's do the strap real quick. You're going to need your strap adjusters and your 2 swivel clasps. What you're going to do is put your strap through one end of your adjuster and then back down the other, just like so. You can have like 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It's just up to you and your confidence level of what you want to do. Come down to the other end, keeping it straight, not twisting it at all. We're going to put that strap connector on like that. And then take this end. On the side where you have it flipped over, you're going to take the end, push it back up, and then back down again, just like that. And then you're going to grab your other swivel clasp and you're going to put it on top this time. The last time we put it on the bottom. Now you're going to see it on the top, and then fold that over and then clip it. What we're going to do is I'm just going to do a rectangle around, like a 1-inch rectangle on both of these to secure them in place. Alright guys, so what did you think? is super duper fast, so I love this pattern so much because it's so fast, and it's been a busy week, so it was really nice for me to have something fast to record for you guys. And when you get it, you can sew them pretty fast too. So why don't they have slip pockets, zipper pockets, all the stuff on the inside? So Kim and Alex have been trying really, really hard to make sure that the panels are a little less expensive. Just because of the economy and just everything in general, it's been hard to sell a panel for $50, $60, and you've got a lot of people that are sewing to sell and they can't afford to turn it around and sell it for what they need to sell it for to be able to actually make any money. So Kim and Alex have been really trying to be mindful of that and make it so that it works. So if you wanted to do any extra zipper pockets, stuff like that, you're going to have to add your own fabric. I used black waterproof canvas and I think it looks fine. It's up to you. If you want to buy some coordinating fabric later on when it comes out, go for it, make yourself some extra pocket. But, you know, the more they add to a panel, the more expensive the panel is going to be. Right now, you can only get this as a box. If you haven't gone on their Facebook page, you need to go on there and follow them, and then make sure that you interact with the page so that you'll see when this stuff is coming out. If you interact with the page, Facebook will show you, hey, they have a new post, you need to see it. So it's only in the boxes, and they only sell the boxes on their Facebook page, so you have to go on there and check. If you want to be added to the box list, I don't know how many spots they have left. It's not a lot. Once they saw the Beauty and the Beast, everybody and their brother jumped on the bandwagon. So if you haven't seen that box, it was a really good box. And eventually it will be a sew-along, and you'll be able to purchase everything separately. But for now, it's just the boxes. That's what makes them so special. That's why you got to grab them. So for this one, for now, it is just in the boxes. That's the only way that you can purchase this print. However, if you wait long enough, or you get on the box list, you can grab this box. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up, or if you want to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Got quite a few things, quite a few new things coming up this year. We kind of took a break this past year and kind of reused some panels because I needed a break to work on my business. But Kim and I were talking, we're like, we need some new stuff. So we are started. I've already started. I've got 2 patterns down, and yeah. There's going to be some really cool stuff coming out next year. So make sure that you interact with their page. Make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss out when I post those videos. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I do check those daily. Also, don't forget to look. There is a link down below for merch. You guys know that this economy has been rough, so any panels that you guys purchase, any patterns that you purchase from me, any t-shirts that you purchase from me, and watching these videos really, really do help the channel be able to. I am a very, very small business, and so every purchase helps me be able to stay alive and keep my small business alive. It has been a struggle the last 3 years, y'all, but by God's grace, we are still here. Every purchase that you guys make really does help the channel out, and I really do, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate everybody that has shopped with K&A, bought your panels, whether you knew it or not. I get a percentage of each panel sale. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you guys again for joining us on Faith Works Designs. Bye, guys.